Marrickville is a local government area a few kilometres west of Sydney's central business district. As well as a suburb of Marrickville, the municipality includes 11 other Sydney suburbs such as Daley, Tempe, Enmore and parts of Newtown. Marrickville is diverse, progressive and loud, and not all of the noise is from nearby Sydney Airport or the heavy traffic that passes through the local streets each day. Perhaps music making in Marrickville started with the indigenous Cadigal and Wongal people singing and dancing into the night. The Marrickville area was colonised in the early 19th century, and several important musical groups were established here during the 19th and 20th centuries. These days, Marrickville is home to live music venues of all types, from the stately Enmore Theatre, where touring bands and comedians abound, independent bars, to pubs and clubs, and to irregular and sometimes illegal street and warehouse parties. As a music precinct, Marrickville is on the rise. This documentary series takes a closer look at some of these new venues and the music performed there. Smack in the centre of Marrickville, overlooking the busy intersection of Marrickville and Illawarra roads, sits the eclectic and energetic LazyBones Lounge. LazyBones opened in 2013 after the building had been unused and derelict for years. Before that, it had a checkered history.
There was a fire in the 80s. When it was a Greek club, someone got cheesed off and, threw a Molotov cocktail up the stairwell and people jumping out of the windows onto the... Those are the negatives, but there's a lot of positive. There's been some, when you talk to the old Greek dudes, they've had some fabulous family nights up here. Then in the 90s, after the fire, it had another history where it had a few years of a Samoan reception centre, Latin club, dance club, and then the most recent was a karaoke, Vietnamese karaoke bar. It was a karaoke bar thing, and there's been, I've heard some stories when Marrickville police had come up here, and there was some huge fights and stuff, and a lot of dysfunctional behaviour. So it had quite a history. I'm an electronic engineer by background, so always loving live music, of course, and wanting to always have this fantasy of opening up my own bar one day, and that happened in 1999, and things just eventuated from there. Never did I ever think that it actually end up to be to this extent where I'd be running a serious live venue. I had 2 floors, jazz, 7 nights a week, same thing. So the model of LazyBones is actually on Cape Lounge in Melbourne, but this is a much larger space. It's and also 200. I think there's about 200 people can fit into this space now. I didn't think that Sydney would be the place. 3 years ago, people thought I was mad. This was a sheer fluke when I found it. Came for dinner, walked, and they had a massive sign in front of it, full lease. And I had no idea on the history of it. All I liked was the building. I loved the facade. And my wife and I came up here, and that was it. We fell in love with it immediately. You know, like most, initial adrenaline pump, you know, you tend to ignore the hidden cost and the logistics to achieve it. But we just love the space, and it took us close to about a year to build. Yeah. So it was a logistical nightmare. It was. I think I took 375 kilos of electrical wires out of the ceiling. So it was just continuous, you know, adding on and adding on. That I had no idea. And then eventually just had the whole place, just said that's it, to start afresh, and gutted the whole place and started all over again. And, you know, so maybe I am attracted to this, you know, to challenges and to, you know, take on going against the social grain.
Well, I remember I was just walking by and I saw all these lights on, and this was before it was even open. And there was this crazy mural on the ceiling. I was going, well, that looks interesting. Then my friend Dave Panicki, the trombone player in Sonic Mayhem Orchestra, mentioned that this place had opened up and I should come and check it out. In fact, he had a gig. So I came to his gig, was knocked out by the place, got to meet Craig, and we had a meeting the very next day. And that's where it all started. For the last 6 years, I've been running a band called the Subterraneans. The Subterraneans now perform here at LazyBones Lounge every Friday and Saturday night from midnight to 2 in the morning. We perform, well, I like to call it a fusion or a combination of, say, jazz, rock, funk, and reggae music, all twisted around together. Say if you cross the music of John Coltrane with Jimi Hendrix and Bob Marley somehow, and say throw in some James Brown. That's sort of quite a stew. The band's been doing very well. Before here, we in, where was it? 2011, we won the Bell Award for Jazz, which in the category of, Jazz Blend. So we won the award for that for the whole of Australia. Which is great. We've performed overseas at the Kuala Lumpur International Jazz Festival. We've flown back to my hometown, Darwin, a few times. In fact, last year we performed in front of 2,000 people in Darwin in a festival called the Jazz on the Green. That band, the Subterraneans, has been very busy. We do about 100 performances a year or more, and have done so for the last 5 or 6 years. Sonic Mayhem Orchestra. That's been running for 3 years now. And in fact, we've been playing for 2 years. It'll be our birthday this Monday, August 3rd. 2 years of playing every Monday night here at LazyBones Lounge, which is awesome considering it's a 13-piece band, because I actually lead the band and write all the music for it. It's been a lot of work keeping a 13-piece band there every single Monday night, but we're doing it, and I'm stoked that we have the opportunity to do it and to be able to have such a wonderful place like LazyBones and Craig and Alex, the owners of the place, supporting us playing here every week.
It's 15 bands a week now. It's come to that point where we've pretty much have live music, multiple bands on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And now that we have 2 floors, we've got bands down there. So it's working. And people are coming. There's one thing I have noticed recently is that younger are coming to the jazz, which has always been, I find, a challenge. To get the young to participate in the arts, you know, to sit down there and actually look at that live band as if it was theatre and enjoy it, you know. Not listen, I must pay my bills because I have to sell alcohol, but it's not the main focus. The main focus is actually getting people here to eat, drink, be stimulated by the arts or whatever is around, and then happen to listen to live music at the same time. You know, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to work out to do this. You need it's not about the money. You know, I can think of many other ways to make money, if that was my intent. You know, what I don't want to do is actually, you know, end up in the red. You know, that's so important. You know, because that's unnecessary stress.
Coming to LazyBones, I have my ex who plays here regularly and friends who recommend lots of music, and I love live music. It's got a great atmosphere, it's a good place. I like the fact it's free and that you can donate and contribute. It's just a really inclusive, warm place.
Amazing support. Being a Monday night, you can imagine it's difficult to get an audience on a Monday night. It's, you know, the quietest night of the week, so the fact that they've supported us through thick and thin, often not making a profit or, you know, losing money on a Monday night, and still sticking with us and believing in us. It's just unbelievable the support they've shown us.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
first off, when I got to Sydney, I moved to Balmain because there was quite a good, live music scene there, which is very supportive and fantastic. But eventually I moved to Marrickville, which I found to be such an artistic hub. Especially now, there are so many such enthusiastic and supportive live venues here in Marrickville. And that's why I'm here. When I got here, moved to Sydney 10 years ago, it was pretty dire. There were very few places to perform, and if you did perform, you'd be doing for pretty much next to nothing. Not saying that we earn a lot of money out of it nowadays either, there's... but there are opportunities now. There are opportunities to perform, and there are places which will actually welcome you to perform there, such as LazyBones, also the other venues which are in Marrickville as well, and then the wonderful places like 505 in Surrey Hills, which is, has been open for a couple of years, but used to be an underground venue. Because a few years ago, it was just underground venues you'd play, and often someone's lounge room. Now, it's, you actually get to perform in a place like Grooveyard, LazyBones.
Well, because not knowing Sydney, that was the reason, but it is the type of area that I would be attracted to, because I have an affiliation with Vietnamese, because living in Melbourne in the early 80s, and I thought my world was all fucked up coming from South Africa, and then I met the Vietnamese, and I went, fuck, you kidding me? You came out in a dinghy, and then you don't know where the rest of your family is? You're kidding. What? In Melbourne, on both sides of both my bars, I had Vietnamese restaurants on either side, and living in Fitzroy and North Richmond, I always felt very comfortable with the Vietnamese community, and then coming here, and I thought, oh wow, this is the place I would like to hang out. There seems to be a balance of cultures here, and it is difficult in Australia, to find that right area that you feel very comfortable in. Unfortunately, that's the way Australia is. We claim to be very multicultural, but we're not. As long as it's politically correct and they're not bothering you, it's okay, So, I've been living in Australia now as a dark-skinned person, knowing that, you have to be very proud of who you are and believe in what you want to do, And...
Oh wow, fabulous! I mean, it's the best thing that it can happen, and so. It makes you connected to home. It reminds me of home. It reminds me of a feel-good feeling.
I believe that when you do live music, you tend to connect with each other. Like just now we was dancing with each other. We don't know anybody there, but we just connected. So that's how it is. And I think we should have more of this everywhere. Yes, I think Marrickville has certain uniqueness about it, and it's more laid back and more, more secured. I feel like that. So I think Marrickville is a place to be and to stay. Make the most of it, follow my dreams. Love my beautiful kids. You can do one, and we might still be friends. No,
and it's difficult, it's challenging, it's You know, there are many times where I've gone, oh my God, you know, am I mad? I should maybe just open 4 nights a week, and then we'd be viable immediately, and able to actually have less headaches. But, you know, that would have been the easy way to actually, you know, concede that you can't achieve it. And now, after 2 years, we're quite happy to say that we have. We're pretty much, every day is self-sustainable now. You know, it's taken a while. These venues, that they take massive risks to support the community and the arts. You know, which is, I reckon that if I ever got to remember, and I go back to Melbourne, is that to this dude rolled up in Marrickville, and he said he's going to play live music 7 nights a week, and he did it, and the musicians love it. That's what I want to be known for. You know, that's the fact that it works, and that business model is achievable, provided you have the right support.
And you know, I enjoy every single time. You know, it's fantastic, and you know, the venue is beautiful and good music. It's really nice. It's really nice. I like the fact that it's upstairs, and you know, when you get in, and it's very colorful, and you know, it's really nice painting on the ceiling, and music is fantastic. You know, the sound and everything. So yeah, and very welcoming people. So it's very interesting, very good.
I'm hoping that there's another few. I reckon we need another 4 or 5 immediately.
More music venues in Marrickville. In the next episode of Marrickville Live, we take a look at one just down the road.
There'll be no teardrops tonight, unless tonight is every night. My friends say I'll be fine. This shit happens all the time.